they played within themselves. But I think, once again, when they look back on this tonight, Forge will be disappointed in what they didn't bring to the table in the second half. They were just completely outplayed.
They will be disappointed because I think there was a moment around the 50th minute where you have to roll up your sleeves and you have to run a bit extra. And I don't think Forge had the legs to do it. I'm looking at the midfield and Sissoko and Hodrad Becker, they put in a shift, but they put in a shift for 45 minutes defending, doing stuff that they don't normally do. So I think they tired, and I think that was a part of the tactics as well. They ended up getting open and stretched. And the goals that they scored, yes, they were soft, but I think that comes from tired legs and also just turning off mentally. That's me speculating and looking at the guys as they're running and the way that they're playing, but it always hurts to lose in that manner where you know you could have just taken care of business and maybe tied and who knows, gone to pens.
Well, that's why I asked what I did to KJ at halftime, and we can obviously discuss it here post-game. It's just in that second half, this is where you really start to separate the two teams, I find, right? Especially when you're dealing with the different levels, MLS versus CPL. And I wondered if Forge would have the stamina to stay with an MLS side who has that type of experience, right? And yes, you look at Losada, who made those types of coaching changes that worked to his advantage. But do you think that's what happened here, where Montreal, kind of had that ammunition that they were able to use in the second half, and they just didn't, and Forge just didn't have an answer then? Yeah, no, Andy, I think you hit the nail right on the head. I think that has a lot to do with it. When you can make these tactical changes and switch up how you're going to play. Look, Forge for me tonight came with this idea of, hey, we're going to defend and we're going to be in a low block and kind of hope for the best. But their game plan, it's hard to switch wheels. You know this, to be, hey, let's go and be attacking second half. But Hernan Losada had that option. He had that ace card to play. And I don't think Forge had the same card as well.
No, there wasn't a response. You saw the late chances by Forge, but that wave the other way came too late. I think you're right. They got outrun in the midfield. They had some real problems getting through the CF Montreal press. And when you added that speed and that threat in behind the back line, things just opened up. It became far too expansive from Forge, where they were playing it as a compact unit. Things got stretched, and then holes were created in this team. Let's be honest, if a four could finish his lunch or breakfast, I mean, it could have been 4 or 5-0 in this game to CF Montreal, and I think it would have been a fair scoreline. Yeah, Tristan Henry came up with some big saves as well, but too little, too late, 2-0. They end up dropping this one here to CF Montreal, and we all said if this was a year where Forge was primed to beat CF Montreal and move on, this would be it. They believed it in their hearts. In the pregame show, we had Bobby Smirniotis on our One Nation show, which airs every Monday, and he said what's missing is the Canadian Championship title. He'll have to go another year without. Here he is with Christian Jack.
With Bobby Smirniotis after a 2-0 loss. Bobby, what are your overall thoughts after that one?
Yeah, I thought we had a pretty good first half. We've created good opportunities to put the ball in the net. We're better on that, and very well compact in our defensive lines as we needed to be. And it's unfortunate the way the first one goes in. Those is what we talked about before the game. The first goal makes a big difference in this game, but I'm proud of the guys. We've put in a great effort. We've had some good chances. It wasn't our day.
Is it a fair comment to say the game changed on a deflection? Because once that happened, you had to make your changes and open up.
Yeah, of course. That changes everything. Like I said, the first team to score in this game, it makes a big difference. This is do or die games, and that changes a lot of things. It's unfortunate the way it went in, but that's football. You keep on moving along.
Bobby, final question. What's the message to the team when you're about to address them when you go back in the dressing room? What will you tell them, and what is the difference this year losing this one than you did last year?
Yeah, the biggest thing is we keep on moving. We've got games coming up. We've got a lot of stuff in front of us. We're doing very well in the league. We just keep on rolling. We've put in a good effort out here. We just got to make sure we keep on doing the same thing going forward.
Appreciate your time. Good luck in Ottawa this weekend.
Thank you.
First loss of the season, by the way, for Forge. They're undefeated in league play with 3 wins and 3 draws, so they suffer their first loss. But now they've got to switch gears and focus on the Canadian Premier League. But they did have their chances. This really was a game of who can finish, and Forge was not able to do that. And then you kind of have this sloppy goal to get things going for CF Montreal. But sometimes they don't necessarily ask you, how pretty that goal was. It just went in. So let's take a look first at Forge's chance and then how Montreal was able to turn it around and take advantage of theirs.
Look, going forward here, beautiful setup. This is the way you want to play. You get it from one side to the next, right? Have Morgan on it here. A bit of luck, But look, for me, this needs to be played hard across the goal. That's a tap-in for Perseus. Chipping it the way he does Borges, that's one he's going to want back. Here as well, you're going forward, Rama, you want your right back to bomb forward. He does. But look, this is a mismatch, Wheels, that we were talking about before the game. You have Antiotti Janssen now. He has to step out as a center back to go close the space, but there's no center midfielder to help. It's so unlucky, I know, with the deflection.
I don't think it's unlucky. Like, let's be honest here. Javaport is, 10, 15 yards away from Lassiter. And he buckles. He thinks that a rocket's coming his way. He turned. That bothers me so much as a defender. Stay with it because you're not sure where that ball's going to go. He buckled and turned away because he didn't want to get hit by a shot. You got to be brave in moments like that. To me, forget about the tactics. Forget about anything. That was just a player not standing up. He could have stopped the ball at his feet. That was just so poor by Javaport, a champion, a guy that perennially, in the final games for the North Star Shield, he's the guy that shows up the most. That's why I'm so surprised in a moment like that. He turns. Jordan, you know you can't do that.
I think he tries to go and put a foot on it, but
he
he
wasn't
does
even
turn.
looking.
He does turn, which is like if he keeps his body square, it's going straight back. But even for me, him having his arms there, he should be stepping forward.
Yes.
And just putting his body on the line. These little minute details change.
That's
are
a
we
big
able to
deal.
see it again? Let's just play that again. I'm curious to see here, you guys breaking it down. You have a bit of a different opinion
It's
here.
just such a big detail. Like, stay up, go to the ball. Like, he basically turned, he buckled, he gave up on the shot so early in this one. Like, look, like Lassiter, Jimmy said it on commentary. Like, he almost scuffed the ball.
Yeah,
it didn't get off the ground.
It's a mishit.
Look, he's like 10 yards away. Like, he just turns.
Yeah.
Like, it's
and
just...
makes himself small. But look, his eyes still on the ball. He's trying to watch it to get a... But, yeah, when he turns like that, it's a recipe for disaster.
I mean, that's what hurts so much on a night like tonight. Montreal, no doubt, the superior team, but we see in cup competitions, as long as you don't have, I said it at halftime, avoid the self-inflicted wounds. That's exactly what that was. Then things opened up. Then Montreal got chance after chance after chance, and the game was done there. It's unfortunate. You heard Bobby Smirniotis say it. The first goal changed so much. Well, it did. I'm just disappointed in that there wasn't a response. I thought that Forge would have at least tested the back line. For Corbo, Waterman, Camacho, the night was far too easy for all three center backs, or all three defenders for CF Montreal.
Montreal then, of course, gets the insurance. They get their second goal. This one, okay, maybe we can ask, how pretty is this one? Because at this point, the onslaught was on Wheels.
Yeah, well, it wasn't pretty either. I mean, this is a ball that's just innocent ball play. Again, along the ground, James inexplicably tries to. What did he do with the outside of his foot? Why was he trying to control it with the outside of his foot? Put your laces through it, follow through the ball, put it into row X, Y, or Z.
In no world as a center back, when you're getting braced and ready for a cross, and you're supposed to be even, you're supposed to stand at a point where if the ball's coming this way, it's either open with your left foot and swing, or open with the inside of your right foot and swing. The outside of the foot to caress. But Wheels, this goes back to what I was saying in my point as well, Andy. This is what happens when you're tired and you shut off. And you've been defending a lot more than you usually do. And a game like today, you're like, oh, the ball's coming to me. I'm just going to be a bit lazy and put an outside boot. But look, a CF Montreal team will punish you if you
For
do
the
that.
chances that CF Montreal had, Andy, those are two of the worst chances created. It was nothing, off a throw, an innocent ball played in, then a shot that's hit from 25 yards out, and just a deflection that should have never been. Again, this is why when you get down to it, the goals conceded, they were brutal. Those are ugly. CF Montreal created far better chances than those two, but those are inevitably what sink you.
But it comes down to the details, and you have to imagine that Forge will be kicking themselves a little bit because maybe those are things that could have been avoided. But what do you think that conversation is going to be like with Tristan Henry?
You saw him. He did extra couple rolls, so I know he wasn't happy.
No. So Forge once again falls to CF Montreal 2-0, the final here. We're going to speak to both coaches in Game 2, Pacific Vancouver. They want to move on to meet Montreal in the final. That's right. We have another semifinal coming your way here on OneSoccer. Stay with us.
Thank you, Canada, for making dreams come true. We're with you all the way.
The new season underway. Absolute class. It's the golden boy once again.
Very good.
What a sweet, sweet moment. Super goal.
At Toyota, our lineup of electrified vehicles is always growing. We're evolving the ways we move so that every Canadian has a choice towards a more sustainable future. One that includes the all-new, all-electric Toyota VZ4X. Because every electrified vehicle we build at Toyota brings us all closer to a better future.
Life's better with extra space. Space for family. Space for memories. Space for you. Try 4 weeks free. Access Storage, proud partner of Canada Soccer and the Canadian Championship.
Joining us now on Match Day Live, James Merriman, head coach of Pacific FC. That's coming up in less than an hour's time. Pacific taking on Vancouver. You're actually hosting Vancouver, James. And I know a lot of talk has been made of 2021 and just how incredible the atmosphere was in the 4-3 victory over Vancouver. And you have Aparicio and Hurd who are part of that squad. Do you talk much about that? Do you draw on that experience at all to motivate them tonight?
I wouldn't say so much to motivate them, but definitely the experience yesterday and our preparation spoke to that, spoke to our Herediano matches, you know, both home and away, the way that we approached those games, the way that we prepared, our mentality and what we needed to do to get a result and ultimately to win those games was more important than how we were going to play. And I think that's something we spoke about yesterday, and everybody's on the same page, and it's a clear plan for the match today.
A lot of the talk so far in the Canadian Championship has been taking advantage of your chances, being able to finish. And if there's one thing we know Pacific has been able to do this year is score. Do you feel that that is a really strong weapon for you here tonight, being able to break down a side in Vancouver who is so strong defensively?
Yeah, I think we need to play quickly. We need to play forward quickly. We need to be decisive in the attacking half. We have players, Eamon Salouf, we know, that loves to get isolated 1v1 and go to goal. And Daniel's up top with his physicality that he can bring, and Josh Hurd, and then Manu and Sean. So we feel confident in those five that they can be dynamic, they can be forward-thinking, and be decisive in front of goal and go and enjoy those spaces and take their chances for sure. We know can be maybe few, and we need to be there, and we need to be there with the right mentality and enjoy those spaces.
Well, right now, James, you are the last CPL team standing. I don't know if you allowed the players or if you guys watched the earlier match between Forge and CF Montreal and what you saw. I mean, did you watch it? Did you see what happened?
Yeah, we were watching it. It was on in the treatment room. It was on in the locker room. So we know Montreal is going through, and we know we have an opportunity to host a final here. So I don't think there's much more to be said or in terms of motivation for the group. Everybody knows what the opportunity is, and the spirit and the mentality in the locker room is in a really great space. So now it's just about starting the game.
Well, we can't wait for the game to start. Appreciate you taking the time as always, James.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Wanted to keep him on a little bit longer because I was enjoying the jump. Crisscross will make you jump. Daddy Mac will make you
jump.
You know I know the words.
Maybe put on my jacket backwards. I can do that.
No, the pants. You got to put the pants on backwards.
Oh, Lee.
I mean, it's hard to read James Merriman sometimes because he is just so even keel. But I do wonder right now if they think, oh, is the pressure on our shoulders right now? Is the last CPL team standing here? Because you just saw Forge, a strong team. I mean, mind you, Forge is 1 point ahead of Pacific in the standings. So Pacific and Forge are pretty equal right now in CPL. But it just doesn't even seem like it's phased him.
Yeah, I don't think he feels pressure. I think he's about his business. I think this team's about their business tonight. And it's just playing at Starlight Stadium. I can't preface or specify that enough. Playing with that field with small dimensions, anything can happen.
Bringing it back to, in relation to what you're asking, bringing it back to CF Montreal Forge, home field advantage is big. Like, I think Forge suffered tonight. They were playing on grass. They weren't playing at Tim Hortons Field in front of their fans. You know, small margins. I just want to also point out, Sunisi Ibrahim scored again tonight. 5 CanChamp goals in 5 games. He's tied for 5th all-time with Tomi Amiobi. Get this, only 2 goals behind Jonathan Osorio and a goal behind Altidore, Javinko, and Piatti. Sunusi Ibrahim, CanChamp beast mode. Watch out for that guy. In the final, he could be a record holder, too.
Well, whoever ends up making it to the final is going to want to stop him from doing that. And Vancouver Whitecaps, of course, would like to be in the final to defend their title as we now bring in Vanni Sartini. Vanni, again, I'll ask the same question to you because I know we're going back a couple years, 2021, but you were still part of that Vancouver Whitecaps team. We all know the story of what happened between Pacific and Vancouver, but being back in Starlight Stadium, do you send the message to the players, or do you know they already know what needs to get done here in a stadium that did not end well a couple years ago?
Well, you know, I think they already know, but I think it was also good to have in the group some of the players that experienced that night here, and to make them understand that, you know, we need to step up in terms of level, we need to be much better. I would add not only the night that we had here last 2 years ago, but also the game that we played in Calgary last year in our winning campaign. It was the hardest game. Was the game away against a strong CPL side. Tonight we are arguably facing probably, I don't know, number 1, number 2, Pacific or Forge, one of the strongest CPL sides. So we need the best version ourselves if we want to go to the final.
Vanni, how do you put your finger on what you've been able to do at home but have not been able to do on the road? How do you change that?
Yeah, it's a good question. We're thinking about it, actually. We know that we are a group that I think as a team we like to be in control of the game. We like to be the team who is possessing more the ball, and sometimes when you play away it's not possible. We need to do like this kind of step of maturity to understand that when things are not going in the right direction, we need to keep doing the things that we are supposed to do. We don't have to go away from the plan. We don't have to go try to win the game by ourselves. But the only way to be successful, we proved it in the beginning of the season, is when we are sticking to the plan and we're doing what we're supposed to do. So being focusing on the process will be very important tonight too.
No surprises, obviously. Now, again, a couple years ago, you played at Starlight. You clearly are aware of Pacific, and you know how strong they are offensively. You're one of the best defensive teams as well, and the strongest Canadian MLS team this year. How do you approach this game?
Yeah, we need to match immediately their intensity. You know, the stadium will be packed. They will have all their fans behind. Of course, they're going to try to put 150% on this game, so the start of the game will be very important. We need to be very compact and very organized when they have the ball, because I think that they possess the ball very well. They have a clear style of play with a lot of rotation of the midfield, wingers coming in, and so we need to be really disciplined when we defend. And the third point, when we don't have the ball, I think we need to be really good when in set plays. They are really good on set plays, corner and free kicks. So we need to be really, really good. If we do this, I think that when we win the ball, we have the quality to put them in trouble.
Well, we love ourselves a good BC matchup. Can't wait for kickoff, Andy. Always appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you, Andy. Thanks a lot.
Vanni Sartini, head coach of Vancouver Whitecaps. They want a ticket to the dance against CF Montreal, but they have to go through Pacific first. When we come back, we'll get more post-game sound from the earlier match, which saw CF Montreal defeat Forge FC 2-0. Stay with us here on OneSoccer. Canada's men's national team took care of business in the CONCACAF Nations League group stage. Now, Les Rouges turn their attention to Sin City and the prospect of lifting their first trophy in 23 years. It's the Nations League semifinals live from Las Vegas, where Canada and Panama will meet in the Final Four. Can the Alphonso Davies-led Reds continue to prove they're kings of CONCACAF? Canada's national team play on one channel, OneSoccer.
To play. It's something that's in us from the very beginning, and something we take with us on every step of the journey. When we have no words, it gives us a way to speak. When we are still finding our way in the world, it gives us somewhere to belong. And no matter who we are or where we come from, it gives us the right to dream.
Christine Sinclair as she scores at her 5th World Cup. Alphonso Davies!
It's time to celebrate the game we love. It's time to play.
No score in the first 45 of this game. No shots on target either, but it was a completely different story in the second half. 6 shots on target for Montreal. Forge managed to put 3 on target as well, but this one goes the way of the MLS side. 2-0. They are off to the Can Champ final. Here's Christian Jack with their head coach.
With the winning coach, Hernan Losada, you had to work hard for that one tonight. What were your overall thoughts?
The thoughts of close first half, a better second half with a lot of chances where we should have scored 3-4 goals. Maybe they also deserve 1 goal at the end, but happy because we reached the goal and we are in a final.
I know you like to talk about your players, coach, but you deserve a lot of credit. The changes at halftime seem to make a difference. What did you tell your team at halftime?
No, we found out we had a lot of possession, but we couldn't finish our actions. We needed an extra reference in the box. That's why 04 came in, and with 2 forwards, well, it was about finishing our movements. Finish with a cross, finish with a shot on goal. I needed to have something out of the possession we had, and well, we got a little bit more verticality in the second half, and we created a lot of opportunities.
Final one, you'll find out your opponent in a few hours, but you know you'll travel to the West Coast. How excited are you to have a final for this football club?
No, it's amazing. I'm very happy for the players, for the organization, for the directors, the ownership. I'm very happy to be here in this club, really. It's a big family. It's beautiful to work in this environment. Canada gave me an incredible welcome, and it could be an honor to represent this team in another final.
Lovely words. Congratulations, coach.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
He really does find a way to get the best out of his team. You know their MLS story, really bad start. Then they go on a great 6-game winning streak in all competitions. And yes, they've lost their last 2, but they find their winning ways here again. And Wheels, Hernan Losada deserves a lot of credit because his changes in that second half really turned the table.
Let's put it this way. I think he's getting the most out of what he has. in Montreal. You lose so many players, Johnston, Kone, Milovic. Go down the list. Kamara. I mean, the players that they lost in the offseason, trade away Kamal Miller, and this team just keeps on ticking. You heard Losada say they could have had more than just the 2. Here's a number of the chances. Ford could have had a hat trick by himself in this game. He had so many near misses, bad misses. What would you call them? Like the XG has to be through like this one. Oh, for how he doesn't score here. I mean, your guess is as good as mine. Tristan Henry ends up having the moment of the night. Just a sensational save right here. We've been watching Tristan Henry since the start of the Canadian Premier League. This might be the best save of his entire career.
It is the best save because look, because I want to play this again. If we look at when the ball is crossed, right? And we get a great block here by Morgan. But look where he is when the ball is crossed. Yeah. He shuffles over and is able to get a strong. Look at that. Yeah. Look where his legs are right now.
He's beyond the goal line.
To get his paw, to push that away when you're just facing the other direction, that's so difficult. As a striker or whatever, attacker, when you're going for a header, they always say go back across the keeper because they cannot save it. Like you're moving one way and then you have to go and reach. But he just defied it. He literally saved it.
Yeah, great save. That's a highlight, unfortunately, of Forge's night. That save by Tristan Henry. But Montreal found a way. It's just maybe that's the best way forward in MLS play. No Romel Kyoto tonight. He was a big miss. But how does Montreal find that next gear? How do they break open teams? Maybe it's just with the sheer pace of Ibrahim and a 4 in attack. That might be the way forward to have some crafty players. They're looking so organized. Losada's done a great job. That spine of the team, the midfield, the 3 defenders, all playing some excellent football. Sirois came up with the one big save. Now, according to Charlie O'Connor-Clark with the Canadian Premier League, Sirois now faced Forge 7 times, and I believe he's won 6 times with 5 clean sheets. He is the kryptonite to Forge, or was in the Canadian Premier League. Now he's undisputedly the #1 goalkeeper with CF Montreal. Pantemis went out through injury, and Sirois made that job his own. A former goalkeeper of the year in the Canadian Premier League, doing great things with CF Montreal in Major League Soccer.
Gatorade performance of the match, Zachary Brault-Guillard with our Christian Jack.
With the performer of the match, Zachary Brault-Guillard, congratulations individually, you were fantastic, but let's get to the team first. What did you think tonight? What was the game like for you?
It was a good game for us because we struggled in last week. We lose in the MLS, but now when you play a Canadian Championship, we are better. You play at home. We find some spaces in between the lines, more in the second half. That's why we scored 2 goals. Maybe we can score more goals at the end. Chino missed big chances, but I think he was good because he keep moving, he keep give a solution for everybody, and we are close to beat them more than like 5-0. But I think it's a good team performance tonight.
Was it a night to be patient, that the time would come?
Yeah, for sure. We are on the struggle pass. Sometimes we win, sometimes we lose, but at the end we find some good way to win. Like tonight, I think it's good for the game on the Saturday.
And now you get to play in another final. How special is it for you, Zach?
Yeah. It's been a long time we didn't play a final. Last year we lose against Toronto. We take a revenge this year, and now we go to maybe Vancouver. I think so. The final gonna play there. I hope we're gonna win there and take the trophy again.
Last one for you is on your own form. You were terrific tonight. You're the performer of the match for a reason. You've been named obviously in the short list as well for the Nations League for Canada. It's a long list, but it's a short list as well. But you're in it, right? So how do you think you're performing right now?
Good. I need to play more because John have some stats, some specific exigences. I was happy to be in the squad, the big squad list, but at the end I need to perform more when the coach give me some minutes and some opportunity like tonight. And I give everything on the turf to help the team.
A Canadian shining in the Canadian Championship, how it should be. Thanks for this, Zach.
Thank you. See you soon.
If I haven't mentioned it already, on One Nation, which airs every Monday here on OneSoccer, Jordan and I went head-to-head in Canadian Championship trivia. One of the questions asked to me, as I accidentally hit my microphone there, was which player has won the Young Player award.
This can't be real life.
2019, Zachary Brogue-Yard. I may have guessed that. Well, I kind of fumbled. I got whatever, but I did guess that it was him afterwards. If I haven't mentioned that I beat Jordan in trivia, Canadian Championship trivia on One Nation, I just want to remind everyone, if I forgot earlier to mention it. Yeah. Anyways.
Anyways, I wanted to bring up Zachary Brogue-Yard. Was solid tonight. But he's second choice in his position right now with CF Montreal. Hasn't started a game in MLS since April 16th. So 6 games without a start. His minutes have been limited. This guy is still being in John Herdman's Canada side on a regular basis, but he's finding himself pushed more and more to the periphery. Jordan, this is the only negative. I rate the player. I think in the right context, he can be a very good player, but playing this little at 24, he needs to be playing more regular football. Has to.
This is the time from your early, teens or early 20s to 26. You have to play. You have to find a level. You have to find yourself on the team sheet. And we look and we just see guys playing week in and week out. But it's also at training, treating training like matches and going in. And I hope that's the case for this player. Right? He's working hard and making sure he can be in camp.
Just want to remind everyone as well that one of the questions I asked of Jordan was how many Canadian Championship games he played. And he didn't even get
I thought it was 4.
Right.
But it was 5.
Didn't even get that answer right.
Yo, she annihilated me. I'm not even going to lie. Like, it was.
He's that bad, but I'm also that good. You know who else is really good? CF Montreal, because they're moving on to the final. They'll look to capture their 6th national title, their first since 2021, not that long ago. In 2021, you know what Pacific was doing? They were winning a CPL title, but they won a Canadian Championship.
Form of a question, please?
Listen, I'll beat you in trivia no matter what.
A new era for Canadian soccer begins today. Experience the emotion of every match. Watch all the highlights, the breaking news, the best debates and analysis, and all the information about the Canadian stars playing abroad. Get access to the best of Canadian soccer from any device. Join the new dawn of an unstoppable game. See the rise on OneSoccer.ca.
One more game to go on the night to decide the 2023 Canadian Championship Final. Who will join CF Montreal? Pacific hosts Vancouver Whitecaps. A lot of talk of 2021 opening round. Pacific painting the town purple, a 4-3 win over the Vancouver Whitecaps. And that was a turning point for Vancouver because it saw them dismiss their head coach, Mark DeSantos. Vanni Sartini, who was part of his staff, was elevated to interim coach. He turned things around. A year later, they win the Voyageurs Cup. He wants to get his team back there again and go back-to-back. Remember, Vancouver, the last time they had won was 2015, and we're going to talk in just a moment about them in Major League Soccer and how they are the top performing Canadian team of the three. So here's how we got to this point. You can see Pacific defeating Cavalry and penalty kicks in that preliminary round, and then 2-0 over TSS Rovers. That was the feel-good story here of the League One BC team. Now they get set to face Vancouver, who joined in the quarterfinal stage, obviously earning that bye as winners. 4-1, they took care of York United. I know a lot of people will say, well, that's a couple years ago, but we do love to look back. And yes, there are only 2 players remaining right now on Pacific who started in that game. I believe there's 5 with Vancouver Whitecaps. But how much do you look back at 2021 and just, remember how big that was, Wheels, for Pacific?
This was an absolute low point for Vancouver Whitecaps, as much as it was a high point and led to winning a North Star Shield for Pacific. This was the recipe for success, and it was chaos. It was chaos both ways. The game was played at a breakneck pace. Players all over the park were just sacrificing, throwing themselves into tackles. Vancouver were wide open defensively. Josh Hurd had himself a night, and on the balance of it, Pacific, buoyed by a big crowd, almost willed themselves to victory. What a moment that was.
What a moment. A game with 7 goals. We love goals in the studio, but look, there was energy that night and vibes.
Yeah.
Purple. Right? And I love to see it. I know we could talk about tactics, but guys bleeding for your badge, running through a brick wall for your next man. This is what was there, and that was the recipe for their success in Pacific that night. I hope to see it replicated tonight again.
Purple rain.
Purple rain.
That's the second song we've sung tonight. Let's take a look at their starting 11.
Usually I'm getting yelled at for doing these things in studio.
I know. We are totally taking your job away here.
It's okay.
All right.
Take it.
What do you make of this? What do you make of this starting 11 right here for Pacific? And could you make the argument that they are better than the team that went on to win the North Star Shield in 2021?
I think you could, but I think there are 2 deficiencies with this squad. I think their number 9 is not pronounced yet. With Daniels, Angaro, or with Adonijah Reed. Good players, but Where Diaz was a bad boy up top, scoring goals. He scored 12, and he wasn't even there for a full CPL season last year. And then for me, Gazdoff, Callum Irving was tried and true and was a player that you knew, maybe not the biggest frame, had great feet, but was comfortable with this back line. I think Gazdoff is not up to the same potential or playing the same way that Irving was.
Okay, I hear you on that, but I think I'd take this Pacific team. Most goals scored in the Canadian Premier League this season, joint fewest, and 3 of the 5 that were conceded were self-inflicted. Absolutely. Your center back partnership of Didic, Mayer, Jaguar, who, by the way, along with Hurd and Aparicio, arguably 4 of your most important players tonight, none of them made the trip to Winnipeg on Saturday in a 1-1 draw. The entire focus was tonight. Rest players and then have the benefit. And this is another one of the reasons why I think that this Pacific team can be better. They're deeper. They make 6 changes in tonight's game, come away with a hard-fought draw. They're a better team tonight, but they have the depth to go deep. And they have players available off the bench tonight. Angaro, Reed, Kakuta Mane, a former Whitecaps player that makes them more dangerous for me in attack. And Salouf has been the Bustos replacement. I think he might be even better than Marco Bustos was last season. So this is a great version of Pacific. We'll see what they can do with home field tonight. It's small, it's narrow, it's difficult to play at. They're going to be a real challenge for the Whitecaps here tonight.
I'd agree with you, Wheels, because this Pacific side, with who have come into the squad, their reinforcements, Salouf, Toussaint. I'm looking at their midfield as well. When you think of a Dixon or Hodrapour, I'm looking at Young, Toussaint, Yeats. Like, these guys can ball, yeah. and they're just functioning and moving. It doesn't matter who's playing at the 6 or the 8. They have things going, and Salouf has been a joy to watch. So I will say who they've added have definitely brought the team in a different direction.
2 guys that could come off the bench, might have some extra motivation too, Monty, as you mentioned, former Vancouver Whitecaps. Even Angaro, who's still looking to find that consistent scoring touch, was part of Vancouver Whitecaps. So maybe, he might look for some motivation if he ends up getting subbed into this game. So I had mentioned earlier only 2 players remain from that 2021 great, fantastic, wonderful game that saw Pacific FC beat Vancouver Whitecaps. Well, I mean, obviously great for Pacific, not so much for Vancouver Whitecaps. That would be Manny Aparicio and Josh Hurd. And I mean, Manny Aparicio, we keep saying if it wasn't for, injuries or suspensions, this is a guy who could have easily been the MVP, Wheels. I mean, this is a guy who seems to be the glue of this team as well.
Got a big role tonight to play. I mean, he's the guy that kind of leads the press from the midfield. He's going to have to deal with Kubas all night long. Aparicio, as skillful as he is that blue-collar, hard-nosed approach as well. He's the straw that stirs the drink for this team. And tonight, success is predicated on him helping control the game to a certain degree.
Anyone who's played with or against Manny Aparicio knows that when he runs and he's pressing, he gets things going. He ignites play. But I think tonight specifically, Wheels and Andy, he needs to be the guy that chooses his moments correctly. He can't go and press by himself. Now, this man, Josh Hurd, this is the heartbeat of the team. He has the captain's armband on, but he's a guy annoying to play against because he's always pressing. He's always making things difficult. And this is what he needs to do tonight as well with the Vancouver Whitecaps. Don't give them any respect. Go punch them in the face, and you're at home to do it.
Well, it's Hurd, who's now the captain at Pacific, and Salouf down the two flanks tonight. They have to test the Whitecaps fullbacks, because this is the area of relative inexperience in this team. We'll get into the Whitecaps 11 in a moment, but Hurd, like, the Whitecaps had no answer for Josh Hurd back in 2021. He's not afraid to be direct, kind of like a Jacob Schaffelberg is very direct and willing to run in behind the back line, and these are the types of players that, for me, are the most difficult to deal with.
After all that being said about Pacific, Vancouver Whitecaps, they are absolutely no slouch as we take a look at their starting 11. And yes, they have struggles on the road. Their one road win actually came in the Canadian Championship this year when they defeated York. But this is a team that is pretty stingy defensively. Would you say, Jordan, that, I mean, are they your favorite to win the Canadian Championship again?
I think so. I think they're the strongest team. I think I would be remiss. I can't really say another team is better than this squad. I think they're most balanced. I think their midfield three on the day is top notch. You look at Cordova, White, and Sharp up top. I mean, Wheels, these three, on a pitch on any given night, one of these three, or if not all of them, would hurt you.
Brian White was one of two Vancouver Whitecaps players to start that game in the 4-3 loss against Pacific. Cordova needs to start producing a little bit more, but the analytics speak to the strength of the Whitecaps team this year. They have the third highest expected goals in all of Major League Soccer. They're creating a ton of chances. They make 5 changes tonight against a team that completely outplayed the Seattle Sounders for me on the weekend. The best win by any Canadian MLS team on this season was Vancouver Whitecaps on the weekend against Seattle. There's good experience. I like Tristan Blackman. I think he's having a good year. Kubas, Gressel in the midfield. Russell Tybert provides the legs. 31st appearance of the Canadian Championship, 3 more than anyone else, 3 more than Jonathan Osorio in the lead there. And then as long as they can get production out of those front 3, no Ryan Gauld tonight, at least from the get-go. Everyone's healthy. He does have those weapons off the bench, but it's how those front 3 can work and whether they can test Didic and Meyer-Giguère, get those 2 center backs moving. I think the Vancouver Whitecaps can have some joy in front of goal.
What's making that midfield so special?
Well, it's the work rate. Like, Schopp is going to move forward. He's typically in that midfield 3. Tybert, the Canadian, he comes into play in the Canadian Championship with the Canadian quotient. But they're just a much more... It's a better mix this year.
Yeah.
There's experienced players in here who know how to navigate their way through a game. I think at times it was like a little bit of like plot and play for the Whitecaps with this midfield. I think it's the strength in their team and the reason why they look to be a legitimate playoff team in Major League Soccer. Ali Ahmad moves back. That's the interesting move for me. Yeah. He's starting at left back tonight, and we spoke to Sartini about that, whether he prefers him in midfield or at left back.
And he said with Ali Ahmad at left back, just what he provides, he's almost like gangly. That's for me, that's what he's describing, Wheels. It's just like his legs are so long, he's able to win balls that most people wouldn't win, or he takes a touch, it looks like he's going to lose it, but he keeps it. But yeah, I agree with you. With this Vancouver Whitecaps side, this nucleus, so many ball-playing midfielders, so many guys comfortable on the ball, and that really just drives you and allows you as a team to do whatever you want to do.
And it's Vanni Sartini's formation, and I actually think it'll work well tonight in a smaller field, where he even told us he's playing Schopp and Cordova underneath because he doesn't need wide players. Yeah. He doesn't need Caicedo or Vite going into wide areas high up the field. You keep things compact, you keep control of the ball in the middle of the park. That's their way forward in this game. I think it's a smart tactical approach by Vanni Sartini in this game. So, and I kind of agree with his assessment. Pacific strength they're better in attack than they are defensively.
Yeah.
So if they can go and test him in those tight areas and test a young goalkeeper in Gastov. He's still a teenager. They hold him in high regard for Pacific, but he's had 2 or 3 significant errors. I mean, these are experienced strikers. All 3 of them. Got to test the goalkeeper.
And tonight's a night, Wheels and Andy, that it's about who controls the game. I know this is like overall with any game, but specifically with the midfield. Pacific love to keep it ticking, love to make passes, but it's who can get in the other team's face. Who can make the game uncomfortable for a longer period of the game? Not for the first 20 minutes and you die off. Can you do it in the moments that you need to and press and keep the ball ticking? If the Pacific can do that, it could be a successful night. But if Whitecaps do that, it's an easy win.
James Merriman said he was watching. They had the CF Montreal Forge game up. They can't run out of steam like Forge. Vancouver, the deepest team in this competition. They can change things.
Deep team, and you can't catch them by surprise because now they've played at Starlight Stadium back in 2021. So the adjustments Vanni Sartini has made, absolutely no surprise. He now knows this location well. That gangly guy you were talking about, Ali Ahmed, we're going to have a feature on him. That's right, all you Vancouver Whitecaps fans getting to know him this year. Well, why don't you stick around to get to know him a little bit more here on OneSoccer.
The Canadian Championship is on one channel, OneSoccer.
It looks like we're headed towards
and many people's dreams of owning a home.
What's keeping you up at night?
I'm kind of stressed about my money situation.
Oof, it's stressful to talk about.
Oscar, come here.
Here's your financial stress companion.
She definitely helps. It's never too late to start. Good portfolio. With saving for my first down payment.
Thank you, Canada, for making dreams come true. We're with you all the way.
To play. It's something that's in us from the very beginning, and something we take with us on every step of the journey. When we have no words, it gives us a way to speak. When we are still finding our way in the world, it gives us somewhere to belong. And no matter who we are or where we come from, it gives us the right to dream.
Christine Sinclair as she scores at her 5th World Cup. Alfonso Davies!
It's time to celebrate the game we love. It's time to play.
One channel for Canada's national teams. OneSoccer.
Go this well, but I'm enjoying every single bit of it every day.
From the left side, running right at Ferrari. Ahmed's cross, King St. Giant Samples on the follow-up at the crossbar, and then an own goal!
I think it might be a little bit of both, right place, right time. You know, every time everyone around me who'd kind of see me play would always be like, oh wow, you know, like he's really good. Why is he not at this place? What, you know, it was always, oh, he's very, very good, but nothing. I would never really get the opportunity. So I think the lack of opportunity kind of hurt me. It was hard to find something over here in Toronto, because over here we only got, at that time too, there was not the CPL, there was no CPL, so we only had TFC really over here. So, and I would say TFC, it was kind of hard to get in. Honestly, actually, I actually got in with TFC before I went to Portugal. I got in with TFC, and they actually wanted to sign me with the U19s before I went to Portugal, but. My coach was leaning more towards the Portugal move, so I decided not to put any pen to paper with TFC. But it was just a bit tough to find something over here. You learn a lot, and it builds character for sure. Like it helped me so much to where I am right now. It helped me build a lot of character and the motivation, you know, I would say it created a lot of extra motivation. And and it gave me some discipline too, because you know, I always try not to think too negative, because they say your thinking influences your behavior, right? And your behavior forms your character, and your character forms your fate. So I'm always just trying to focus, not trying to feed the negative, and always just trying to focus on the positive. And honestly, I think the biggest thing was belief. I had a lot of belief that I would be able to make it. You know, I seen the talent. I seen every player. I seen the professional level. I seen it all, and I felt like I can definitely get there. I think I felt like I had the talent, and you know, obviously my people around me kept pushing me for sure. That helped me a lot. Right now I'm playing midfield. You know, growing up I played in the midfield, just solely in the midfield. But slowly, as the time went by, I started drifting a bit out wide. Kind of helped me. You know, it's good to be versatile. You know, so that kind of helped me. So I moved out wide a bit because I feel like I'm pretty quick. I can play in the mid. You know, just trying to be smart. You know, just trying to be smart. Not one of those players that just always. You know, when I'm playing on the wing, just always attack, just go. But always, first things first, so always follow what the coach wants and the team wants. Always try to help the team first. And I'm just a team guy. And then obviously in the MLS too, we wanna be up there in the top 3. We wanna have home field advantage for the playoffs and do special things this year. Every time we talk about the Canadian Championship, is repeating. We want to repeat. We want to have that same joy we had last year, and we can't take any games lightly. We know how hungry these teams are going to be coming, so it'd be a mistake if we come out flat-footed. We want to come out first 15, first 20, all out. We want to win today.
Well, the Canadian men would like to be lifting a trophy as well. Their first chance to do so will be Nations League. They've made the Final Four. That's right, going up against Panama June 15th, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 Pacific. That'll be right here on OneSoccer from Viva Las Vegas. The fans are piling on in, getting set to watch the Battle of BC Pacific taking on Vancouver Whitecaps. A ticket to the final on the line. Who will face CF Montreal? Some final thoughts before we send you to kickoff. Stay with us here on OneSoccer.
The Canadian Championship on OneSoccer is brought to you by CIBC.
It looks like we're headed towards
And many people's dreams of owning a home.
What's keeping you up at night?
I'm kind of stressed about my money situation.
Oof, it's stressful to talk about.
Here's your financial stress companion.
She definitely helps. It's never too late to start. Good portfolio. With saving for my first down payment.
CPL is on one channel, OneSoccer.
Gatorade. With electrolytes to help replenish what's lost in sweat. Carbs to help fuel your working muscles, and fluids to help you hydrate. Scientifically formulated so you never stop competing.
I do this for my town, my time, my time. None of you people can tell me to stop.
Rehydrate, replenish, refuel. Gatorade.
At Toyota, our lineup of electrified vehicles is always growing. We're evolving the ways we move, so that every Canadian has a choice towards a more sustainable future. One that includes the all-new, all-electric Toyota VZ4X. Because every electrified vehicle we build at Toyota brings us all closer to a better future.
One channel for CONCACAF Champions League. OneSoccer.
CanadaSoccerStore.com is the official home for the widest range of Canada Soccer licensed product, match jerseys, and fanwear.
I'm going to tee you straight up into some opening words ahead of the, or after the win there. Go ahead.
Huh? What do you say?
What are your opening words? How do you feel?
My opening words? You didn't see it? Park Stadium. Vancouver is purple.
That was a miss you, Pa. We miss Mamadou Ka, who at the time was the head coach of Pacific when they pulled off that victory in 2021, talking about painting the town purple. I'll ask this question of Pacific. It's the same one I asked of Forge. If we're talking about a CPL team making it to the final, what do they have to do to get there?
Capitalize on set pieces. Look, Amir Didic, I've defended him on corners. He is a monstrostic human being. He's huge, huge. But then also, Wheels, Vancouver Whitecaps do the zone. If you get across a guy and able to put your head on that, this is a way to go up 1-0 early in the game. I'd say that, manage moments, but keep that energy high. You're playing at home.
I like Takaoka, but I mean, with Didic, and they got some real threats. Daniels is a big boy
as well.
Set pieces could be huge in this game. Pacific needs to control the rhythm of this game. It's quite simple. It comes down to the game being played at that breakneck pace on this tight field, forcing the Whitecaps into mistakes. Turn up the heat on them. I do think this Whitecaps team is much, much, much better than the 2021 version. I think they're more athletic as well, and there's a lot of experience in this team, but that is the only way for Pacific to move forward. It's a sold-out crowd. They brought in extra seats tonight. We know the proximity, even though Vancouver decided to fly in yesterday, not take the ferry like the people today. But Pacific, just ride those emotions and hope that you can make something happen. I do think that's what Forge missed in the first game. Having home field could be a massive advantage tonight.
Yeah, it's huge. And also, again, I hate talking about the dimensions, but I think it's a big factor. Tight. Fans all around the pitch, really ride that wave, really ride the fact that you're playing at home. And the big dogs came to you to play. All you got to do is show up, stay with it for 90 minutes. Good things will happen.
How much does it get into a team's head that their road record is not good, as in not winning on the road? And if Pacific manages to come out strong for 15 minutes, even Vanni Sartini admitted that even when he took on York, he goes, typically when we've taken on CPL sides, we know that we have to kind of withstand this wave of emotion, wave of energy, maybe about 30 minutes. He knows that that first half typically can belong to the underdog who's coming with so much emotion. But what if Pacific can make something happen?
Well, we asked Vanni yesterday on a call. I said, are you nervous if it gets to halftime and it's 0-0? And he said, I'd be more nervous today than I would be any other day, just because of the occasion and Pacific and what they could bring. So I think if it's 0-0 at half, I think that's a good result for Pacific. But then I don't think they should do it Forge and try to have the same game plan. Go and get them. Go and punch them in the teeth.
Whitecaps are favorites here.
Well,
Whitecaps are significant favorites in this game. They're the best professional team in this country at this time. So I think the expectation is for them to come out and win. That's why Pacific can play free, enjoy the occasion, and see if it can make magic happen all over again.
No punching anyone in the face or anybody in the teeth, even though George has been promoting that.
Yeah, punch him in the face, punch them.
Yeah, I know. Like, all right, soccer, not hockey, but let's see what can happen here. So we know CF Montreal already makes up one half of the 2023 Canadian Championship. Will Vancouver Whitecaps join them? Will it be an all MLS final? Will Pacific, though, shock and awe and be the team to make it to the final here and have a chance to bring the Voyageurs Cup to the Canadian Premier League? You gotta get through the first 90 first before we can have any of that conversation. We're heading to Starlight Stadium next year on OneSoccer, the final semi-final match. Pacific hosting the defending champions, Vancouver Whitecaps. What are you wearing? You're wearing purple, you're wearing blue. Let's see Vancouver Pacific coming up on OneSoccer. Oh, Stewie the Starfish.
The Canadian Championship is on one channel, OneSoccer.
The Canadian Championship on OneSoccer is brought to you by Toyota.
At Toyota, our lineup of electrified vehicles is always growing. We're evolving the ways we move so that every Canadian has a choice towards a more sustainable future. One that includes the all-new, all-electric Toyota VZ4X. Because every electrified vehicle we build at Toyota brings us all closer to a better future.
Life's better with extra space. Space for family. space for memories. Space for you. Try 4 weeks free.
Sentinel Storage, proud partner of Canada Soccer and the Canadian Championship.
Gatorade. With electrolytes to help replenish what's lost in sweat. Carbs to help fuel your working muscles. And fluids to help you hydrate. Scientifically formulated so you never stop competing.
I do this for my town, my time, my time. None of you people can tell me to stop.
Rehydrate, replenish, refuel. Gatorade.
Thank you, Canada, for making dreams come true. We're with you all the way.
The Canadian Championship on OneSoccer is brought to you by Allstate.
One channel for Canada's national teams. OneSoccer.